Greetings, Malifaux fans. This is Crazy Carl, back with another Malifaux video battle report. I'm bringing you today a 35 Soulstone scrap played with Chris, aka Twisted Metal on the Weird Forums. We were playing Outcast versus Rezzers. Here you can see I brought along McMcourning, which you'll know why shortly. We were playing Shared Contained Power. So I brought along McMcourning, and Chris decided to bring along Leviticus, which I think is a pretty good choice, because Leviticus is pretty hard to kill. I think Hamlin would probably be a little bit better choice, but he doesn't own Hamlin, so there you have it. So I brought along McMcourning, 3 Canine Remains, Rafkin, a Rotten Bell, Sue, and a Nurse, along with McMcourning's Avatar attached, which left me with an 8 Soulstone cache. I took Kill Protege, which I hid on Rusty Alice, and Stake a Claim on the Giant Lake, which is on the other side of the board from where I was, because that's just how that scheme works. I really enjoy the synergies between Sue and the Nurse and McMcourning. Sue's just an awesome model in general, but being able to reactivate him effectively for free is really, really good. Chris brought along Leviticus. He had Rusty Alice to turbocharge his drawing capabilities, and Bet Noir, along with 3 Drowned, which were a really good choice. They're very, very good models. And a Canine Remains to turn into a Hollow Waif later on, should he so choose. He took Steel Relic and hid Thwart, which I found out later. So interesting choices. I really like Steel Relic for Leviticus, as Leviticus and Rusty both have really high willpowers, and the Drowned are a really good choice for it as well, because they all have slow to die, and if they die in melee with McMcourning, then they have a chance of trying to do that. So first turn was pretty simple. The Drowned moved up. I ended up reactivating Sue and moving him up along with the Nurse, and then I had the Bell drag up the Nurse first with Lure, so she got a little bit of extra movement out of her, and then Rafkin just kind of moved up. McMcourning also moved up. He carved up the Zombie Chihuahua, but did not. But Bet Noir did not pop out. I was ready for it though. I actually had activated Sue. Funny story. Chris actually did have Bet pop out of the Chihuahua, but I had Sue activated, and Sue had tossed up Disrupt Magic. So Chris was able to. He was going to pop out Bet Noir. I was going to kill it very easily with McMcourning, and then he was going to have a negative flip on his slow to die action, which later on in the game was incredibly relevant. I let him take it back because it was a pretty obvious trap, and I just didn't want the game to... The game wouldn't have been over there, but it would have been a little bit less interesting, I think, when he's down 10 Soulstones early on. For his part, Chris made a Hollow Waif out of the dog and then just moved up Leviticus and Rusty. He split up his waifs. He had one up on the big cliff and the other one down on the ground, so he had nice options for where he wanted to place based on where things ended up. The Drowned were awesome here. They were, as you'll be able to see here, able to move around very easily, get to where they wanted to go. I think one of them was able to get off a Riptide on turn 2, but didn't really do much damage. However, I did get the chance to shoot with Sue a couple times, which was a lot of fun. I really like the ability to reactivate him and shoot him multiple times, because he's got paired pistols and critical strike built in, so he's doing minimum 3, 4, 5, which is really, really good damage. Not great against the Drowned, which I did a couple damage to them, but it was still pretty good nevertheless. Turn 3 things started going downhill pretty quickly though. I end up losing initiative and lost both Rafkin and the Nurse to Leviticus, which was very ungood for me. There's a couple things I didn't mention earlier, that McMcourning had tried to scalpel slinging into a Drown to try and get a manifest requirement, and then failed the scalpel slinging because I hit the Black Joker on my damage flip, so that was pretty awkward for me. Here you can see McMcourning is hanging out with Rusty and Leviticus, kind of sitting a little bit further away from him. Well, actually, it's not Leviticus, it's the SPAs, but the Leviticus was a little bit further away. I tried to scalpel slinging over to the SPAs to, again, get my manifest requirements and hit the Black Joker again. So, pretty bad timing, 2 turns in a row hitting the Black Joker and not being able to get off my scalpel slinging. So, basically what that meant is I had to go out of my way to manifest McMcourning, which kind of sucked for me. But I was able to do it. What I ended up doing was just getting the manifest requirement off of one of the Drowned, or one of the SPAs. I killed it off with Racked with Pain, because it had run away after I had put Rancid Transplant on it. I killed it off. I then summoned a Rogue Necromancy, which you can see there, and then brought out the Avatar. Unfortunately, Leviticus killed off the Avatar very quickly, the Simulacrum 29, so I didn't really get much use out of him there. And most of the rest of the game was just spent with us kind of flitting around and not doing a whole lot. McMcourning kept on killing stuff, but I was killing things like SPAs because they were in my way until I could get to Rusty. And actually I wasn't able to get to Rusty because I tried to kill off Rusty with my Rogue Necromancy, and then once again hit the Black Joker when I was doing the last 2 damage to kill her, which was pretty unfortunate for me. the SPAs were just they were just bet magnets. He was able to pop out bet, which I was able to kill her each time, so it wasn't really an issue. Bet wasn't going to be paralyzing me, but she kept on slowing me down. She was an amazing speed bump, if nothing else. She didn't kill anything this game. I don't think she actually even attacked once, but she just speed bumped multiple times. It was pretty annoying for me. You could see that the McMcourning ended up back on the sideboard. He actually ended up on top of that big hill at one point, trying to kill off Waif to try and get to Leviticus, because I had the opportunity to kill him. If I killed off both ways, I could have scalpel slinging down and killed him off, but ended up not being in the cards. So basically, McMcourning just ran away, and then Leviticus also ran away. I was curious as to why Chris didn't do that, but as he pointed out, he already had 1 point from his Steel Relic because one of his SPAs had stolen it from McMcourning earlier, and already had his 2 points for thwart, so he didn't really care. And I was too far away from being able to get to the other side of the board. The Rogue Necromancy, which you had seen earlier, died again to Leviticus. Leviticus is really good at killing off big models. It's one of the things he's really, really awesome at, especially when he has some Soulstones. And I actually think Chris only used 1 Soulstone throughout the entire game, whereas I'd used a good chunk of mine. I think I made maybe 1 or 2 left. So game ended up pretty low scoring. Chris got 2 points for his thwart, 1 point for Steel Relic. We got neither of us got points for Contained Power. I didn't get anything for either of my schemes as well. So it ended up being 3-0, and it was a great game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Also, screw editing, because I forgot about this. I just need to point it out. Chris actually only won 2-0 because I'd forgotten about this, but then reminded myself right after I finished recording. The SPA was actually not able to steal the relic because Steel Relic can only be completed by significant models. So awesome for me and not so good for Chris. So ended up being 2-0. Let's take my pride back where I can. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.